The US Meteorological Agency says an El Nino weather pattern has now formed in the Pacific Ocean that could reach record-breaking intensity in coming months. For Australia, it could mean worsening drought, bushfires and heat waves. Dr Mandy Freund is a climate science lecturer at the University of Melbourne and is with me now. Mandy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So the US Meteorological Agency has announced an El Nino has formed in the Pacific Ocean. Just how intense are they saying it could be? Because I'm reading headlines of Godzilla, of monster El Nino.
Yeah, it makes a lot of headlines. I guess so far it's been a prediction, and this is the first time that an authority actually has announced an El Nino. So it's quite intense, and what we're seeing right now are warming patterns of about 2 degrees. So quickly, an El Nino means we have warming in the tropical Pacific off the coast of the Americas. And that's where we see temperatures already higher by about 2 degrees. But we also see the subsurface, so the temperatures below the ocean surface, to be really warm. And we're talking about 6 degrees. So you don't need to be a climate scientist to see 6 degrees is a lot of warming that could potentially lead to those monster El Ninos or other headlines.
Yeah, before I ask you about what this could lead to, I'm keen to ask you and point out that the Bureau of Meteorology here works to a different set of conditions to declare an El Nino. Does that mean it may or may not be declared here, or are you expecting it to be declared?
Oh, I'm pretty certain it will be declared in the next couple of weeks or months. The Bureau of Meteorology has slightly different thresholds, but it looks very much like those will be met in the coming weeks or months.
Okay. Could it rank, this largest El Nino, well, we're being told it could rank as bad as it's ever been on records. Historical records, I think, go back to 1950. What is that going to mean exactly for Australia?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It will be, everything looks like it will be a very strong El Nino event. And what it means for Australia is hard to say, because we're already in a very warm background stage. So we're seeing global warming exceeding 1.4 degrees already. So we've never had a really strong El Nino event that was behind this strong background. So it's really hard to say what it means. But for the seasonal outlook, we're already seeing drier and milder conditions. So I presume that's going to continue like that.
I mean, we are told with these sorts of events, it's the potential for extreme weather. We know that we saw extreme weather. It was intense back in 1997. That resulted in billions of dollars of damage from heat waves, from floods, from droughts, from tornadoes, from wildfires. I mean, that's all of them in the one bag there. Are you expecting we could be revisiting conditions that we saw in 97?
It's not off the books. It's very likely. We likely going to see those extreme events to occur. If they are going to occur in Australia, that's a big question. So they will likely have extreme events around the world. What the extreme events will be eventuating here is not really. We can't really say that right now.
Too hard to predict right now. Just if that's too hard to predict, just how quickly can things change? How quickly can things escalate?
Yeah. Oh, well, if we look at the last El Nino event we had in 2003, and we remember that one, we started with very dry conditions and then headed into very wet conditions at the end of October. So it's really hard to tell. Things can change quite rapidly.
Are there any places in the world that would benefit right now from El Nino?
That's a good question. I think that depends on how you define benefit. So weather patterns will shift to the total opposite. This is true for countries around the Pacific. So some countries could benefit from a little bit more rain, I guess, whereas others will see less rain. And the US authorities now have seen already convection moving. So the maritime continent is quite dry, and we're seeing convection moving towards the Americas. So yeah, if you call that a benefit, maybe.
Well, I guess if you're in drought and perhaps more rain means that you can reverse that cycle. Just finally on El Nino, and how do you think, with warnings like that we're seeing from the US Meteorological Agency, how should Australia prepare for such a warning?
Yeah, so I guess the US has not spoken out a warning anymore. They say now the El Nino is on the way. So we had already quite a lot of warnings for people to prepare to think about what could El Nino mean in their area where they're living. So I think the preparation is crucial for depending on where you are and maybe even what you have experienced in past years during El Nino. It can be very regional dependent how your preparation could look like.